Hello everyone, and welcome to a special year-end edition of SUNUP. I'm Lyndall STOUT. This time of year, we like to take a look back at some of the bigger policy and marketing issues of the year in Oklahoma. Joining us now are our ag economists, Derrell, Kim Anderson, and Larry Sanders. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us in the shop this morning.
Very good.
Glad to be here.
And of course, the big story of the year, without question in Oklahoma, that was on everyone's mind was the drought. So let's start off this morning talking about that, and perhaps the biggest and most visual part of the drought was the livestock issue.
Certainly for the livestock industry in Oklahoma, the drought has been the major issue. It's been a year of management challenges, really more so than marketing issues in many cases, although many producers were forced obviously to market a lot of cattle. We really entered the year in a drought, but it wasn't until we failed to have spring that the drought issues really became critical for producers. And by midsummer, we were in the midst of probably the most significant liquidation of cattle that we've ever seen in the state of Oklahoma for a single year. So it's been a very difficult year, and those challenges continue at this point. Even though we've had a little moisture here in the last part of the year, the challenges continue going on into next year, and certainly the uncertainty about where we are with the drought will continue as well.
It was just heartbreaking to see the sell-off and to see the way really families and a generation was dealing with the drought again, just like their predecessors had.
Yeah, we talk about how tough it was in the cattle and the livestock industry, but you talk about the wheat industry, 70 million bushels compared to 126 million last year, average 110. Especially you get south of I-40 in the southwest, no or very few fields were cut down in that area. You look at the cotton crop, I heard of 2 fields cut in southwestern Oklahoma, essentially no cotton crop. Very poor, low corn, soybean crops. Of course, eastern Oklahoma wasn't hit as bad as the western 2/3 of the state. But I'd say your crop farmers got hit every bit as hard as the producers, except it had an impact on your livestock producers because you're short of hay and feed.
Absolutely. And those challenges got severe towards the end of the year, and they continue again on through the winter.
And Larry, your take?
Well, it's an interesting situation. Fortunately, we have the backdrop of federal assistance when there's a serious disaster like a drought. Producers don't like big government. They don't like being dependent on them, but the programs are there. They won't pay off immediately. They won't help them be profitable, but they'll help minimize the losses. I think as we look ahead into the future, there'll be some concern about whether or not we can find ways to get some of those families back into the market because they're getting up to an age where they may decide they just never come back in.
And as we're kind of transitioning to the younger generation and keeping agriculture going in Oklahoma, right? Is that kind of where we're headed with some of these issues?
Yeah, when following up on what Larry had to say there on the government programs, I think the big program is the federal crop insurance. That was the salvation to the cotton producer, to all the crop producers essentially. And in the younger generation coming along, the older generation has learned how to use crop insurance. I think, and Larry, you may have some words on the new farm program. Is it going to go towards your crop insurance rather than the fixed payment type thing? And I think that's some of the things that this drought has brought to the forefront.
And as tough as it is to go through it, obviously there are lessons that will come out of the situation for years to come, right?
Absolutely. And again, from the livestock producers, the drought put an exclamation point on a situation that's been developing for a number of years in terms of overall herd inventories in the country. And this issue of generational transfer comes up, and it actually, in some cases, forced producers to liquidate cattle or make decisions that they were facing anyway in a relatively short period of time. On the other hand, for some of the younger producers, it may be an opportunity to see some access to some agricultural resources that they have not previously had access to in terms of land becoming available for lease or for purchase.
Okay, so there's some business opportunities there too on a lot of levels as we kind of bounce back.
Mm-hmm. You bet. There's managing the cash flow. We're still in the drought situation. The drought's going to go into, looks like 2012. Who knows when it's going to end. The wheat crop is hanging on by the skin of its teeth. the livestock, you know, how long is it going to take to rebuild?
Oh, several years at a minimum, absolutely.
And it really has a broader, I mean, we talk about how it impacts Oklahoma producers, but it is broader too. I mean, Texas is in a drought. It's kind of this whole region. How is that really impacting sort of the U.S. picture, the drought and kind of what we've all kind of suffered here in this region?
Well, let me sum it up just quickly on the crop. It's not in the United States and the world. It's not having a very big impact. With higher prices, which were already on the scene, you had more land in production, you had increased production. So, you know, we're a minor player on the world scene and not much impact at all.
On the livestock, a little bit bigger impact. What happened in the Southern Plains will have impacts on the national market, and it will, you know, those impacts will continue into the coming year.
Okay, and we want to take a look at some of the commodity markets and the trends that we saw in 2011. But first, here's Glenn Selk with Cow Capital.